Mace Windu is often cited as one of the most powerful Jedi of the entire Order. Indeed, through the use of Vaapad, he defeated Palpatine in combat, showcasing just how strong with the Force he really was. However, it is also often claimed that he was somewhat of a wise Jedi, infusing elements of the dark side into the Jedi teachings that broke through much of the dogma that bogged down the Jedi in later years. While this may be true, Windu also made some cataclysmic mistakes. These mistakes may be some of the greatest in all of Jedi history. After all, many of these arrogance-fueled actions directly contributed to the fall of the Jedi Order and his eventual defenestration by Palpatine. Before we begin, I'd like to thank RugbyTeamHolsandJack for suggesting this topic. You'll be entered into the Dooku VF Saber giveaway draw. For anyone else wishing to enter the giveaway, be sure to suggest a topic or question down below. The best ideas will be made into a video, and the commenter entered into the giveaway. Anyway, let us begin the video.
You are under arrest. You have lost.
Yow. Mission failed. We'll get 'em next time.
Now, there are indeed many mistakes that Windu made, many more than I can cover in this video. As a prominent member of the Jedi High Council, he played a role in many of the Jedi Council's decisions leading up to Order 66, with Windu often leading the charge into the depths of stupidity. For example, Windu hardly pushed back against the idea of the Jedi entering the war as soldiers, nor did he oppose the adoption of a mysterious slave army into the Republic ranks. But these mistakes are shared with other members of the Council, so we will not overly focus on them today. Instead, we will focus on the individual decisions and actions Mace Windu made that culminated in his death and the destruction of the Jedi Order. The first dumb mistakes we will explore today were made during the first battle of Geonosis. Now, this is something we have explored before in more depth in another video, but it is so monumentally stupid that it needs to be highlighted again. Throughout this first battle of the Clone Wars, Windu made several key mistakes that would come back to haunt him and the Jedi Order. The first and pretty obvious mistake was not immediately killing Dooku where he stood. Windu even received visions during this encounter that showed that decisive action there and then would save countless lives. Yet he still hesitated and was ultimately forced to flee. Now, of course, this could be excused by the fact that he had attachment to Dooku, as they were former friends. But if the intention was not to kill Dooku and instead arrest him, why go alone? Dooku was a skilled duelist and also had the backing of the infamous bounty hunter Jango Fett. Even if we ignore the countless Geonosians and battle droids within the arena, Windu was likely outgunned on the balcony alone. If he had brought even a few Jedi with him to confront Dooku, they very well may have succeeded in arresting Dooku without having to kill him. But Windu's arrogance prevented him from even bringing backup, thus allowing Dooku to gain the upper hand. If we view this same confrontation just before the battle with a broader lens, Windu's actions become even more absurd. The Jedi were well aware of the droid army and knew this would likely be a major undertaking. This was not a mere raid against pirates, it was a military undertaking against a major galactic faction that was hostile towards the Jedi. To confront the entire separatist war machine with over 200 Jedi is simply stupid, hence why over 86% of them would perish during this battle. Furthermore, this spilt blood was needless. Windu was also aware of the clone army that the Republic had in waiting. Delaying his actions just a few more minutes would have meant that the Jedi were going in alongside an army, something that could have saved many lives. But Windu was rash, and his hasty response doomed many of his fellow Jedi to death, while also preventing the Republic from delivering a crushing blow to the Separatist leadership before the war even started. Windu's second major dumb decision during the Battle of Geonosis was how he commanded the clones. Windu's deployment of the clone troopers did not reflect the sophistication or the strategic depth one might have expected from an effective leader. Despite their intensive training in urban warfare tactics, the clones were positioned in open combat against the droid army, lacking any form of cover. This not only placed them directly in the enemy's line of fire, but also increased the likelihood of friendly fire incidents. Reports indicate that at least one clone trooper was struck by fire from an AT-TE cannon, and it is plausible to assume that many others fell victim to blaster fire from their fellow comrades. Further exacerbating the situation, the Jedi ordered to down the Trade Federation transport ships, while not including provisions to ensure that the clone troopers were at a safe distance, resulting in them being engulfed in clouds of dust. This likely led to additional instances of friendly fire and further disadvantaged the clones against the numerically superior droid forces. The clones' primary advantage over the battle droids, their capacity for creative thinking, was essentially nullified by the manner in which they were deployed. Mass deployment in such conditions rendered them as effective, or arguably less so, than the more numerous battle droids. A glaring misstep in this context was the handling of the clone commandos. The 10,000 clone commandos, elite units trained for urban combat, reconnaissance and specialized missions, were deployed en masse onto the desert plain, directly exposing them to the droid army's onslaught. The consequences were dire, with nearly half of the clone commandos ever created perishing in this battle. This catastrophic loss led many survivors to critically question the Jedi's suitability as military commanders. In particular, many of the clones hated Mace Windu, believing him to be entirely incompetent during this battle. In the early Legends continuity, before the inhibitor chip was properly introduced, this resentment towards Windu and the Jedi directly contributed to many of the clones' eager participation in Order 66, and a celebration amongst the clone commandos when they heard Windu had perished. The next major mistake Windu made is perhaps the most obvious. His treatment of Anakin was bad in almost every way. From the very beginning, he refused to accept Anakin or his destiny as the chosen one, instead choosing a standoffish approach that arguably contributed towards his eventual fall. However, unlike some other Star Wars fans, I don't hold Windu entirely responsible. It was the Council's job to be wary of the shortcomings of other Jedi, and Anakin certainly did show some dark side inclinations that were missed by many other Jedi Masters. But this does not absolve Windu of responsibility entirely. In the Clone Wars Season 7, Maul reveals to Ahsoka that Sidious has plans for Anakin. Soon after, Ahsoka has a meeting with the Jedi Council, during which she tried to tell the Council of what Maul had revealed to her. However, this conversation is then totally shut down by Mace Windu. So in essence, Windu shut down the conversation for the petty reason that Ahsoka was not a member of the Jedi, preventing the Council from learning the machinations of Sidious regarding Anakin. And let's not forget that Ahsoka had led the Republic forces into a significant battle that culminated with the defeat of Maul, one of the Jedi's greatest adversaries at the time. She was well on her way to rejoining the Jedi Order. Windu's dismissal is simply petty snobbiness. This is made worse by the reason why Ahsoka left the Order in the first place, a decision that was spurred on by another of the Council's stupid decisions. Although Windu tried to get her to rejoin the Order after she was falsely accused of bombing the Jedi Temple, he, nor the rest of the Jedi Council, attempted to uncover that it was in fact Barriss Offee that had actually committed this heinous act whilst the trial was ongoing. So while Windu was not entirely responsible for Ahsoka leaving the Order, he should have at least been sympathetic in understanding why she felt this way. Thus, his casual dismissal of her is even more baffling. If Windu had simply been open to the opinions of those outside the Order, particularly former Jedi he had played a role in driving from the Order, Anakin's fall at the hands of Sidious might have been avoided. And this brings us to the mistakes he made in the lead up to his duel with Palpatine. As shown in the Revenge of the Sith, Windu only brought 3 other Jedi Masters with him to confront Palpatine. These Jedi Council members, while powerful, were hardly the best pick for the job. Take Kit Fisto for example, arguably the second most powerful Jedi in this group. He was the master of Shi-Cho, while also specializing in underwater combat. Shi-Cho is a lightsaber form best suited for combat against numerous opponents, or individuals with multiple lightsabers. However, Shi-Cho is not suitable for combat against a singular, very powerful opponent such as the reigning Sith Lord. Waiting for the arrival of other Jedi more adept in one-on-one duels would likely have been a far better idea. However, some claim that Windu's choice was limited because most other Jedi were off-planet. But this is only a partial rebuttal. There were likely many other Jedi Masters on nearby planets which he could have called upon if he had just waited. Opponents to this argument state that if he had waited for Jedi reinforcements, it would have given Palpatine a chance to escape. But honestly, why does this matter? This simply would have given the Jedi time to warn the Senate, as well as the citizens of the galaxy, that Palpatine was a Sith Lord. Many have opined that most within the Senate would not have cared, as they would have no idea what a Sith Lord truly is. But even if true, people would have understood what a traitor was, and also would have understood what it meant if the Jedi accused the Chancellor of being in league with Count Dooku, the leader of the CIS. This would have been a significant early propaganda victory for the Jedi, even if Windu didn't have any concrete evidence to prove Palpatine was a Sith at this point in time. But even if the Jedi believed the Senate or the galactic population was not ready for the revelation that the Clone Wars was a conspiracy orchestrated by the Chancellor, the Jedi Order itself would have been receptive to such a warning. If Windu had taken the time to warn his comrades that the Chancellor was a Sith, many of the Jedi would have been on guard, or perhaps would have fled the battles they were engaged in. Due to a heightened state of vigilance, this likely would have allowed many Jedi to survive the forthcoming Order 66. But alas, Windu rushed in as he did on Geonosis, not even telling Grandmaster Yoda of the looming Sith threat. So there we have it. From his failure to strategize to his failure to listen, Mace Windu truly was the Jedi most responsible for allowing Order 66 to happen. But let me know what you think down below, and be sure to add your lore questions and topic ideas for a chance to be entered into the Saber giveaway. Thanks for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.